It is the autumn of 1983. The world is holding its breath. The Cold War is at its iciest, most treacherous peak. In just a few weeks, the US and NATO will launch Exercise Able Archer 83, a massive, ultra-realistic simulation of a coordinated nuclear strike. In Moscow, the aging Soviet leadership, paranoid and isolated, is convinced this could be a ruse, the deadly precursor to a real first strike. Their doctrine is terrifyingly clear. If NATO missiles are launched, they must launch their own arsenal before impact. The fate of billions hinges on a fragile early warning system, and the men watching it. This is a story of what happened in a single, terrifying minute in a secret bunker outside Moscow. The story of the man who stared into the abyss and chose not to blink. Deep beneath the Russian soil, in a command center known as Serpukhov 15, the air is thick with the smell of stale coffee and sheer tension. This is the nerve center of the Soviet Union's OKO nuclear early warning system. Its purpose? To buy the motherland a precious few minutes to retaliate if America's launch button is pressed. On the night of September 26, 1983, the duty officer is Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov. An engineer by training, a logical man, he wasn't a fire-breathing career soldier. He was a thinker. And tonight, his thoughts are heavy. The political climate is a thundercloud, and he knows this shift, one of hundreds in his career, carries an unbearable weight. The system is state-of-the-art for its time, a complex network of orbital satellites and ground radar. But Petrov knows its quirks. He harbors a healthy skepticism for the machines he oversees. In the Soviet Union, the Politburo is led by Yuri Andropov, a former KGB chief who sees CIA plots in every shadow. He genuinely believes the US is preparing for a winnable nuclear war. The KGB has initiated Operation Ryan, a massive, frantic intelligence-gathering mission with one goal: to detect any sign of an imminent NATO strike. The instructions are hair-trigger, demanding immediate reporting of even the slightest anomaly. The entire intelligence apparatus is primed to see an attack. Back in the bunker, the night has been routine. Petrov sips his tea, the clock on the wall ticks past midnight, the system is quiet. The map is clear, for now. It begins without warning. At 0:15, the silence of Serpukhov 15 is shattered. A blinding red light floods the control room. The system's siren, a sound every officer dreads but never truly expects to hear, screams its warning. Petrov jolts upright. His heart is pounding in his chest. He stares at the screen. The map shows a trajectory arc originating from Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, heading directly towards the Soviet Union. Petrov's training screams at him. The protocol is clear, drilled into him 1,000 times. The computer has high confidence. A single Minuteman ICBM has been launched. The countdown to impact has begun. His mind races. The fate of the world now rests on his next action. If he follows protocol, he alerts high command. They have mere minutes to decide. The Soviet doctrine of launch on warning means they could order a full retaliatory strike before confirming the impact. But something holds him back. A flaw in the machine? A simple nagging gut feeling? The seconds tick by. Each one feels like an eternity. Then the system updates. A second alert flashes. Then a third. A fourth. A fifth. The screen is now fully lit with multiple missile tracks, all from the same base, all heading for the USSR. The siren seems to grow deafening. One missile could be an error, a glitch, a trick of the light. But five is an attack. In this moment of supreme, world-ending pressure, Stanislav Petrov's engineer's mind takes over. He begins a frantic internal checklist, questioning the very system he is meant to trust implicitly. Why only 5? If the Americans are launching a first strike, they would send everything, hundreds of missiles, a tidal wave of destruction, not just a handful. It simply didn't make strategic sense. He remembers the limitations of the OKO system. The satellites use infrared sensors. What could possibly trigger multiple seemingly genuine launches? And then it clicks. A geometrical possibility. The sun, the time of year, the specific orbit of the satellite, it could be reflecting off high-altitude clouds. The system is being tricked by sunlight. It's a logical, terrestrial explanation for a seemingly apocalyptic event. He makes his decision. He will not report the attack. He declares it a system malfunction. It is an act of incredible insubordination. He is betting the existence of his nation and the world on a hunch. Silence. The system has reset. The ghost in the machine has vanished. There are no reports of nuclear detonations, no frantic calls from radar stations. Petrov was right. It was a false alarm. A freak combination of natural phenomena and technological blindness had brought the world to the very brink. But for Stanislav Petrov, the ordeal is not over. In the rigid Soviet system, a mistake of this magnitude cannot be allowed to stand. The state cannot admit that its multi-billion ruble early warning system nearly started World War III. He is debriefed, not as a hero, but as a man who deviated from protocol. He is questioned aggressively. Why did he not report the launch? How could he take such an existential risk? His logical reasoning is acknowledged, but his disobedience is noted. To avoid public embarrassment, the entire incident is buried. Stanislav Petrov is quietly reassigned, his promising career effectively over. The man who saved the world becomes a ghost, haunted by the knowledge of what almost was. For nearly a decade, the secret of September 26, 1983 remains locked away. It is only after the collapse of the Soviet Union that fragments of the story begin to emerge. In 1998, a former Soviet officer publishes his memoirs, detailing the incident. The world for the first time learns the name Stanislav Petrov. Belated recognition finally floods in. He is hailed as a global hero, the man who saved the world. He travels to the West, is celebrated at the UN, and receives humanitarian awards. The quiet, retired engineer is thrust into a spotlight he never wanted. For the public, it is a feel-good story of human intuition triumphing over flawed technology. But for political scientists, historians, and military strategists, the Petrov incident is a terrifying cautionary tale. We now know that in November of that same year, during Exercise Able Archer, the Soviets genuinely believed it was a cover for a real attack. They placed their nuclear forces on high alert. If the Petrov incident had happened then, the outcome could have been drastically different. It highlights the fundamental flaw in automated deterrence. You place a human at the end of a chain of logic that is designed to be too fast for human reasoning. Petrov was an anomaly. The system was designed for someone who would obey. The investigation into the incident concluded that the satellite had indeed mistaken sunlight reflecting off clouds for missile launches. It was a perfect storm of natural phenomena and technological blindness. The incident led to changes, but the core dilemma remains. Today's systems are faster, more accurate, but also infinitely more complex. The launch on warning doctrine is still in place. The sword of Damocles still hangs by a thread. Stanislav Petrov passed away in 2017. He lived his final years in relative quiet, a humble man who never sought fame or fortune. He believed he was simply doing his duty, a duty he defined not by blind obedience to a machine, but by his own conscience and reason. His story is not just a thrilling tale of a disaster averted. It is a permanent reminder of the razor's edge upon which modern civilization balances. It asks us the most profound question. In a world of automated systems, geopolitical tensions, and unimaginable weapons, will there always be a Stanislav Petrov, a human hand to stay the machine, a voice of reason in the face of algorithmic certainty? In that clear September night in 1983, there was. In memory of Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Yevgrafovich Petrov.